No, the academy has been my home for the past 7 years. And of course, I have to take credit. I have to take credit my family.
Kasi dito, wow, I was a wreck. So, parang pagpasok ko dito,
Alex, can you tell us about the match earlier? Seems very interesting.
Yeah, it was super fun. My very first mix.
Rafael Nadal finally loses his patience. Mel Tienko's brutal 7-word response sends shockwaves through the global tennis world. Alex Eala disrespected at the Australian Open. So what is really going on? Tennis Fanatics, the only channel brave enough to cut through the noise and bring you the raw, unfiltered, and sometimes uncomfortable truth from inside the sport. If you think the Australian Open is only about forehands, backhands, and championship points, buckle up, because today's story goes far deeper than the scoreboard. What you're about to hear involves national pride, media power, cultural identity, and one of the greatest champions of all time stepping in to defend his own. This story has everything: a young national hero caught in the middle, a media firestorm surrounding one of the most powerful figures in broadcasting, and a 22-time Grand Slam champion who went absolutely nuclear when he felt a line had been crossed. We are talking about Alexandra Ayala, the golden girl of Philippine tennis, the pride of an entire nation, and a rising star who suddenly found herself at the center of a controversy so massive that it dragged Rafael Nadal directly into the headlines. And if that wasn't enough drama, an astonishing scheduling decision at the Australian Open sparked outrage so intense that legends Martina Navratilova and Lindsay Davenport publicly tore tournament organizers apart on live television. But before we dive headfirst into the chaos, we need to understand who Alex Eala really is and why this situation exploded the way it did. Alex Eala is not just another young player trying to survive on tour. She is a phenomenon. She made history as the first Filipino to ever win a Grand Slam singles title when she captured the U.S. Open Junior Championship in 2022. She is a graduate of the elite Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, where she trained among the world's best young talents under the watchful eye of the King of Clay himself. And she carries something far heavier than a racket. She carries the hopes of more than 110 million Filipinos. She does it with discipline, she does it with resilience, and she does it with a smile that has inspired an entire generation of young athletes across Southeast Asia. So when someone goes after Alex Eala, they are not just criticizing a tennis player, they are attacking a symbol of national pride, a beacon of possibility, a living example that athletes from non-traditional tennis nations belong on the world's biggest stages. And perhaps most importantly, they are going after someone who has extremely powerful allies. That reality became clear when veteran Filipino media personality Mel Tiangco allegedly made comments that sent shockwaves through the tennis community and beyond. Now let's be very clear about who Mel Tienko is. She is not a random internet troll hiding behind an anonymous account. She is a respected journalist in the Philippines with decades of experience in broadcasting. Her voice carries authority. Her opinions influence public discourse, which is exactly why what happened next stunned so many people. According to multiple reports circulating rapidly across tennis forums, social media platforms, and Filipino community groups worldwide, Tienko allegedly made remarks about Alex Eala that many described as mocking, dismissive, and deeply inappropriate. The timing could not have been worse, coming just as Eala was preparing for crucial appearances representing the Philippine national team and competing on major international stages. Some observers went even further, interpreting the remarks as carrying undertones that crossed cultural and racial boundaries that should never be crossed, especially when directed at a young athlete. And here's where the situation took an even more explosive turn. Mel Tienko is Filipino, she shares the same heritage, the same cultural background, the same national identity as Alex Eala. And that fact reportedly made Rafael Nadal's blood boil when news of the comments reached him in Spain. Imagine this for a moment. You are one of the greatest athletes of all time. You have conquered every surface, battled through injuries that would have ended most careers, built an academy designed to develop not just players, but people. And then you learn that one of your academy graduates, someone you mentored, someone you consider part of your tennis family, is being publicly attacked. Rafael Nadal does not do things halfway. When he competes, he gives everything, and when he defends his own, he does so with the same intensity. Sources close to the situation say Nadal was furious. The man, known for his restraint and professionalism, reportedly let loose with a response that stunned those around him. He allegedly questioned how someone sharing Filipino heritage could make comments that many interpreted as discriminatory toward another Filipino. To Nadal, it wasn't just criticism, it was betrayal. But Nadal didn't stop there. Accordings to reports, he demanded a full, public, unconditional apology, not only to Alex Eala personally, but to the Filipino people as a whole. Think about the weight of that moment. This is Rafael Nadal, a global icon, a cultural figure far bigger than tennis, calling out a major media personality and demanding accountability on an international stage. A superstar defending his protege. A David versus Goliath moment. Except, this David has 22 Grand Slam titles and a legacy carved into the sport's history. The tennis world watched closely. Would Tienko apologize? Would she clarify her comments? Would she attempt to defuse the situation? What happened next left almost everyone speechless. Instead of backing down, instead of issuing a carefully worded statement through publicists, Mel Tiangco allegedly did the opposite. She reportedly fired back with a response so sharp, so defiant, that it instantly became infamous. 7 words. That's all it took. 7 words that reportedly shut the conversation down and left even Rafael Nadal without a response. Different. Sources describe the phrasing slightly differently, but the message was unmistakable. There would be no apology, no retreat, no acknowledgement of Nadal's stature or demands. To some, it was fearless. To others, reckless. But no one could deny the audacity. The fallout was immediate and massive. Filipino communities across the globe became deeply divided. Many rallied behind Alex Eala and Rafael Nadal, calling the alleged comments inappropriate and the response disrespectful. Others defended Tienko's right to speak freely and praised her refusal to be intimidated by celebrity pressure. Social media turned into a battlefield. Hashtags trended. Opinion pieces flooded timelines. Everyone, from casual fans to serious analysts, picked sides, and through it all stood Alex Eala, a young woman who never asked for this. She wanted to focus on tennis, on improving her ranking, on representing her country with pride. Instead, she became the focal point of a larger cultural debate about respect, responsibility, and the power of public platforms. And if you think the disrespect toward Alex ended there, think again. Because what happened next at the Australian Open pushed frustration into outrage. Melbourne is home to one of the largest Filipino populations outside the Philippines. When Alex Eala's name appeared in the main draw, the Filipino community mobilized instantly. Watch parties were organized, flags were waved. This wasn't just a match, it was a moment. So when tournament organizers scheduled Alex Eala's first-round match against American Alicia Parks on Court 6, the reaction was swift and furious. Court 6 is a small outside court with limited seating. It is not a show court. It is not designed for massive crowds. And it certainly wasn't appropriate for one of the most popular and marketable players in the tournament. Martina Navratilova and Lindsay Davenport saw the consequences in real time. Navratilova described scenes that felt more like a concert than a tennis match. Endless lines, devoted fans turned away, and a logistical disaster created by poor planning. Filipino supporters traveled across the city, took time off work, only to be denied entry. Meanwhile, Alex Eala had no idea. She was preparing in the locker room, completely unaware that thousands of fans were being shut out. Davenport confirmed the chaos. Even she couldn't access the court, a 3-time Grand Slam champion blocked by overcrowding. She made a point that should have been obvious. Alex Eala is arguably the most famous female athlete in Philippine history, not just in tennis, in any sport. Navratilova didn't hold back. Organizers, she said, must consider demographics and fan bases. Ignoring that reality wasn't just careless, it was embarrassing. And tragically, the pressure and chaos may have spilled onto the court. What should have been a celebratory moment turned into heartbreak. Now the questions remain. Will the Australian Open learn from this failure? Will organizers acknowledge cultural relevance and fan demand? And will the Mel Tienko situation ever truly be resolved? Alex Eala is still young, still growing, still carrying the hopes of a nation. And despite everything, she keeps showing up. with grace, resilience, and professionalism that puts many adults to shame. The tennis world is watching, the Philippines is watching, and Rafael Nadal is watching. This story is far from over. So, what do you think? Team Rafa or Team Mel? Should the Australian Open be held accountable? Drop your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, and stay with Champions Tennis, your home for real tennis stories that matter. Tennis stories that matter.